pleased to bring you our feature presentation.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Beta Alpha Psi meeting. Today, we have John Weitzman here from King Financial Network to come and speak to us today. Before that, Gloria does have an announcement in regards to tutoring because we are coming up to induction night. So, Gloria, I'll let you make that announcement.
Yes, thank you, Jack. Hi, everyone. As a reminder, everybody needs to complete their tutoring hours to be inducted. So I just wanted to tell you guys and remind you. We also posted the announcement on Web Campus and an email was sent to everybody. So just making sure everybody got this. Thank you.
It is a requirement to get in for BAP membership. So yeah, with that being said, guys, if you guys turn your cameras, that'll be great. Let's ask a lot of questions, make this meeting engaging. And John, I'll let you take it away.
Okay, should I restart? Okay, I'll restart. Okay, all right. Thank you for somebody bringing that up. So I'm Jonathan Weitzman. I got a nice little test run right there. My name is Jonathan Weitzman. I am a CPA, MBA, and Wealth Management Associate at King Financial Network. A little bit about myself. I'm actually an alumni from FDU. I graduated in 2021 with my bachelor's degree in accounting. And then in 2022, I came back here for the 4+1 and did my MBA with the specialization in finance. I was actually a member of this club. I was vice president, I was secretary. I was very involved and still am involved within the Silberman College of Business. I played baseball here and I've been in a fraternity. So I've pretty much done a lot of things here. Outside, once I graduated in 2022, full-time, I went to work for Ernst & Young, one of the large Big Four accounting firms. And the work didn't necessarily resonate with me. It was a rewarding experience. I worked with a lot of great people, but I just did not love the work at all. So I did a lot of soul searching during like my last couple months at EY, really trying to decide what I wanted to do for a living. And as I reflected, I knew I loved investing, personal finance, as well as helping others. So I ultimately decided to jump into the wealth management industry. And so far I've been at King Financial Network for 7 months. And it's been an awesome experience so far. I absolutely love it. And that's what the presentation is about. So going into the agenda here. So first thing we're going to do is talk about King Financial Network, what we do, who's our basket of clients. Then we're going to go into the wealth management industry, why it's a great industry to potentially join. And lastly, we'll talk about some personal finance tips. So the question I proposed, and for somebody who kindly let me know that my mic wasn't on, rookie move. So what comes to mind when you think about financial advisors? Somebody said asset management, somebody said taking care of finances. Does anything else for the people on the call? Is that what comes to mind when you hear financial advisor? I got the chat open so I could see if anybody wants to type something in. Okay, no problem. I think that you guys pretty much hit the hammer on the nail there. But yeah, so here at King Financial Network, we're a team of wealth management professionals. We have investment managers, we have certified financial planners. That's the track that I'm currently on. We have CPAs, so I am a CPA, and I do know a little bit of tax, enough to be dangerous, but I don't want to be prepping returns. But we do have CPAs that prep returns. We have an in-house estate planning attorney, as well as in-house insurance advisors. So think of what we do. What we do is called comprehensive financial planning. Think about it like a football team. Are people familiar with like American football? Like, football you're throwing and passing. So basically, as like the wide receiver, we have our investment managers. The other receiver that we have is a CPA. The offensive line, the person who's protecting the quarterback, you could think of like insurance, protecting the assets. And then maybe tight end, somebody who blocks and then also goes out to pass, would be the estate planning attorney. So the person who's quarterbacking all of this is the financial planner. So that's from like very macro level, that's what we do. And some of like the buckets that we hit, we do investment management, we do financial planning, we do retirement planning, we do estate and trust planning, we do tax planning, insurance planning, and we also do college education planning. And newly, we just started helping companies strengthen their 401ks. And in addition to that, a whole other suite of things involving that. I don't necessarily have to go too much into the detail. Now, take a drink of water here, but next on the list, we are also independent fiduciary financial advisors. So what that means is there's no King Financial fund or King Financial insurance product. We have complete open architecture to put our clients into funds and insurance products that we think ultimately suits their best interest. So on the investment side, we work with Fidelity, Schwab, Invesco, BlackRock, Mainstay, all of these companies and all of their funds. We meet with portfolio managers and wholesalers on a quarterly basis, some of them even a monthly basis, to really vet their products. And we do our due diligence to put our best foot forward for our clients. We also advise, I also want to say how our firm makes money, because I think this is also important. So we don't make any commission on any of our products. So if we're putting somebody into a BlackRock fund, we're not getting any sort of fee or commission to use that sort of product. We are a fee-based firm. So what that means for those of you on the call who don't know what that means, we predominantly make most of our revenue off of the asset management fee, which is a percentage of the assets. And we have a sliding scale. So typically the more money you have invested, the smaller of a fee. The less money you have, the more of a fee, if that makes sense. And we have to say fee-based because we do also do tax returns. We do estates and trusts and wills, and we also have insurance products. So that comes with a little bit of commission as well. So, but most of our money comes from the assets that we manage. And I do also want to preface as well that when we bring in clients, they have access to our suite of professionals just based on the AUM fee. Now, if they're going to do a will or a tax return, that's a separate fee. But in order to consult with them, it's all inclusive of that annual fee. And in addition, we take care of any trading costs. We pay that in-house for our clients. And lastly, we advise $900 million in assets of November 7th, 2024. So that's of that date. I think today it's got to be at least 5-6% higher with the way everything's happened with the market. So moving on here, I'm going to talk about the clients of King Financial Network. So when I think about our book of business and take a step back, they kind of fall into these 4 categories, and a lot of these 4 categories do overlap. So we work with high net worth households, typically between $1 million and $5 million of net worth. Now, I would say our average client, like when we think about all 800 households, they typically have a net worth of around $3 million. But that doesn't mean we don't help out clients who have less than that. And we definitely help out clients who have more than that. Now, for those of you on the call or in this room, can anybody tell me, does everybody know what net worth is and how to calculate that? No? Who here is an accounting major? Can I just get like a thumbs up or like a 1 or 2 in the chat if you're an accounting major? Okay. Okay. So basically your net worth is like your owner's equity. So it's your assets, all the assets you own minus your liabilities. That equals, in what we say in like financial terms, your net worth. So after everything is said and done, assets and liabilities, our average client, I would say, probably has around $3 million net worth. Now, moving on to the next bucket, we have pre-retirees. These are people who are on the horizon. They see it in the distance. They're looking to retire. I would say they probably fall between like 50 and 60 years old. And they want to know if they have enough assets to retire. So this is where we would typically do a lot of like retirement analysis using like our financial planning software. And then I would say the pre-retirees and the retirees are definitely more in our sweet spot because they take advantage of a lot of the services that we offer that I went into on the previous slide. Retirees, these are people who have currently retired. They have their nest egg, and now they're wondering, how can I make this last through my retirement and maybe even pass on efficiently assets to the next generation? And then lastly, we have high income earners. These are people who crush it at their jobs. They probably work very hard, but because they're crushing it at their job and they're working all these hours and really doing well, they don't necessarily have the time to become fully educated on financial planning. So it's hard to do it yourself when you're making all this money and working all this time. Does anybody have on the call any questions in person? Any questions? No questions, Emily? Okay. All right, so why the wealth management industry? So according to pretty much the government, the growth of the personal financial advisor is projected to grow 17% basically over the next 9 or 10 years. And that's fueled by two things. So we have, first of all, the wealth in this country continually, especially I would say post 2022, continues to hit all-time highs. So just to give a little background context to what's happened over the past couple of years, we had the pandemic, the country shut down. Therefore, the Federal Reserve lowered interest rates. At first, right, they had the zero policy, which created a lot of demand in the marketplace for people to spend money, which there wasn't a ton of supply. So prices rose. And then the Fed came around, and there was a lot of government stimulus, energy prices went through the whole myriad of factors. And then the Federal Reserve jacked up interest rates in 2022 5 times. And this significantly impacted lower to lower middle class individuals and the wealthy because they own real assets. Basically, if you own real assets over the past like 4 or 5 years, you have done very well. This has been one of the best times in history to ever own real assets. Currently, we have the stock market at all-time highs. We have housing prices at or near all-time highs. Bitcoin is going crazy. Everybody's talking about it. Gold is going crazy. So the wealth in this country, for everybody too, even the lower middle income folks, the wealth for them is going up, but the spread between the rich and the poor has definitely grown. But everybody's wealth has grown up. And ultimately, this is leading to now with the rising age in the population, the baby boomers and the silent generation are going to be passing on their assets. And after doing some research, $84 trillion are expected to pass, with most of that going directly to their heirs. Like Gen X is going to get 30 trillion, estimated millennials, 27 trillion, Gen Z and younger, 11 trillion. So there's a lot of opportunity in this field. Now, here are some more reasons that I think to me mean more. First and foremost, one of the reasons why I got into this industry, you have the potential to make a positive impact on people for helping them achieve their long-term goals on the financial side of things. And then also for if that family requires it, you can secure their family legacies. This is definitely one of the more reasons why I got into this profession. And there's a direct correlation with the amount of people that you help and the money you make. So it's positively charged, I would say, this industry, if you get on the right team and doing the right kind of work. 2, high earnings potential, basically for what I just said. The more assets that you bring into your company and the more people that you help, the more money that you are ultimately going to make. 3, as you rise up the chain of your firm and you build your own book of business, or if you're working within the team and you're meeting with a substantial amount of clients, you control your own calendar for the most part. Now, somebody like me who's been in the industry for 7 months, who's taking more of like that associate analyst role, helping out these partners and trying to build a book of business, I definitely have a work-life balance a lot better than EY. for the most part. I mean, I find myself working more hours now because I'm so passionate about this work. But eventually, once you rise up and you build your own book of business, you do control your own calendars. Like I see the partners coming in, and if they have to go for family reasons, like on sporadic days, they easily can. They block off time on their calendars and they don't have meetings during that window. And lastly, I would say my second favorite thing on this list is how the profession is very fluid. So you have to stay engaged with market trends, like the economic environment, politics, law changes, and global politics as well. So it's very fluid. There's a lot of things going on in this industry. Who could tell me something that just happened last week that was very big in our country? Anybody? And I don't want to hear from you. I want to hear from the people on the call. See if they're actually listening. All right. Well, yes. So the U.S. election. So this was huge, and I would say this entire year from when I joined back in April, we were getting calls probably almost every day about the election. What should I do with my money? How is this going to impact me gifting money? Because the TCJA is going to expire. What's going on with tax rates? If Kamala Harris comes in or Trump, or are they going to tax unrealized gains? Should we sell everything now? So ultimately, we had to make sure we first of all, we take a step back and explain to our clients what's going on, and then also talk them off the ledge a little bit, and then share with them data that actually markets tend to perform well over time, long term, no matter who's in office, Republican or Democrat. They really affect policy, but not necessarily financial markets. Yet, at least the American consumer and the business owner is still very strong. So that was joining the team at that point in time was definitely awesome. And that's what I love about this dynamic and evolving bullet point here. I love staying up to date with everything going on in the world and our country. And I just want to note here that there's a ton of upside and a lot of positives with this industry. However, it does have a very high turnover rate. This profession is very challenging. At the end of the day, if you want to make a lot of money, you can, but you need to get people through the door and bring in business. And our firm hired a strategic coach just about the time, that I started at the company. And he, in our first meeting, said to me, he's like, listen, you're joining a great team. That was really important. I wanted to be on a team because I didn't want to be doing this by myself. It's very hard to be a 25-year-old trying to get somebody's money who they've worked for 40, 50 years and invest their money with you and risk everything. So I wanted to be on a team where I can learn. And I wanted to be in like that overall comprehensive firm. So I digress. So we hired a strategic coach, and in our first meeting, he said to me, this is a 7-year apprenticeship. Like, it is going to be a tough 7 years. You're not going to make a ton of money. Thankfully, our firm is a little bit different, and we actually pay like comparable wages, but you're not going to be killing it. Like, your friends at EY are going to be making way more money than you. But in 7 years, you will have learned a ton, and that's usually when things start to compound. So the rule of 72, it takes, if you think about 10, does anybody know the rule of 72? Probably not, but it's basically, if you average a 10% return and you divide that by 72, it'll take roughly 7.2 years to double. Thank you. Brain fart. So I mean, this is a long-term career. You're not going to immediately join this career and start making, $200,000. It takes a lot of time. All right, so moving on here, I wanted to just, because like I said, I did a lot of soul searching during my time at EY, especially towards the end, and I made it one of my life's missions to help families and people and young people learn about personal finance and ways that they can get ahead and stay ahead. So I put together this sheet that Jack is going to be sending out. I don't know if he already has. Okay, cool. Thank you. I'll actually pull that up as well. Let's see. Okay. Looks like everybody could see it. So I put together like six actionable things that you could take to start getting ahead as a young professional, even in college. So point number one that I want to make is track your spending and your saving. And can you guys see that okay? You can see that all right? Do I need to make it bigger? You're welcome. I'll go one at a time here. So it's just simply track your spending and saving. So understanding your income and your expenses, to me, is huge. Even if you do it, honestly, for a couple months, you get to see on average how much you're saving or investing. And to me, I try to gamify this. So I look pretty much annually about how much I've invested per year, and I try to increase that every single year. Even saving too. So I got engaged last year. So me and my fiance are getting married, and depending on housing prices, 5 to 7 years, we'd look to buy a home. So we're trying to gamify this now, try and see how much money we could save. And the goal here, like what I've kind of alluded to, is periodically try to increase your savings rate. And I'm a big believer in paying yourself first. So making sure that you're taking care of your savings and investing. And then from there, kind of backfilling, okay, what are my like fixed expenses? What do I typically spend money on every single month? Things like that. Now, number two, live below your means. So typically what we see, we're all human. It's natural. Like the more money we make, the more money we're going to want to spend. That's called lifestyle inflation. And that's why a lot of people, maybe they make a ton of money, but they're not saving any money. And when it comes to retirement, we see this at our business as well. By the time it comes to retirement, people don't have enough money to live off of once they want to stop working. So we want to try to avoid that. Now, I am a big proponent, like we do work very hard for our money, and it's important that we spend money on things that we love. However, you want to make sure that you're holding yourself accountable and cutting expenses on different areas where you may not like spending money. So, and that kind of comes back to bullet point one, where if you really track your spending, you can see which areas that you can dial back on the spending on, or like you don't like to spend money on going out to eat or going to the movies with your friends, you're roped into it, but that's something that you can maybe cut back on. Number three, build up savings. So there was an interesting statistic that came out at some point this year. I read it in the Wall Street Journal that most, like over half of Americans can't come up with $1,000 in case of an emergency. So when I heard about that stat, I was like, whoa, that is super eye-opening on like where the personal finance kind of is in this country. So it's important to have cash saved. God forbid if an emergency happens. Like when I was in college, I wasn't necessarily worried about this. And if you are in college and you're still dependent on your parents and you're still living at home, you don't necessarily have to go and save $20,000, right? Don't spend your money and just save it. No, you don't necessarily have to do that. But if you're taking that step out and venturing out on your own, and you're living independently, that might be the time where you probably need to save money just in case your car brakes go or your engine fails. That stuff's expensive. Number four, and one of my favorites, invest your money. So one of the most important factors in building sustainable wealth is time. And with you guys being in college, and for now I can lump myself into this because I'm 25 years old. I don't think I'm that old yet, although I'm halfway to 30. Being young, time is on your side to really build wealth. So, and I just have to kind of caveat this here, make sure you reach out to a financial advisor or somebody who's educated to help customize your own personal strategy there. Number five, which I think is another important one, is stay out of high interest debt. So the average credit card carries interest of around 25%, which is ridiculous. That's just the average. There's some that's more, there's some that's less. I know Trump was floating, maybe potentially putting like a national limit on that. I don't know if that'll happen, but I personally use a credit card as if I am paying cash. So I know that I have the cash to pay for whatever I put my credit card down for easily, and I could buy it several times over. I think it's helpful to have that mindset. And then what I also recommend is setting up automatic payments. That way, for the entire statement balance, you do not want to pay the minimum, because when you pay the minimum, your balance carries forward, and that's where the interest starts accruing. You want to pay your credit card statement balance in full. And to me, it's a no-brainer. Set up the automatic payment. That way you never have to, well, you still have to be conscious of it, but that way you don't have to on a day-to-day basis worry about the credit card. And if you are a spender naturally by trade, there's nothing wrong with that, then maybe try to use cash. I know that's very helpful. That way you don't have to worry about credit. But yeah, you definitely want to buy things you can afford on credit and then pay off the statement balance. And the last tip I have here is invest in yourself. This might be one of the more important things. Like one of my favorite authors, Robert Greene, he said the 20s that's your time where you should really work on developing skills and trying different things out. Like for me, I said, not married yet, don't have a family, might as well try a whole new career. The 30s, that's where it's your time to start fine-tuning your craft. So we have time. So really develop skills, network, explore different career options. Silberman gives us a ton of resources. They're out there. They're not going to come and find you. You have to take initiative and use the resources that the school gives you. That's personally what I did. It's been beneficial. Coming to FDU has been one of the best decisions that I've made. I'm still involved to this day. Come out to the PDP events, come out to the alumni events. This education truly is life-changing. So that's all I have content-wise, but I mean, we have the time. I have not going anywhere aside to dinner with Emily. But yeah, I have time for questions if anybody has any. Either my experience at FDU, my experience at EY, currently at King Financial Network, CPA, CFP. I've taken 9 professional exams in like 2.5, 3 years. So tips on how to study, anything. I'm all ears.
Can I just ask you quickly, since you're a few years out now, what would you have done differently at 5 years ago? Anything at school that you would have tweaked or done a little differently?
When I came to FDU, I made it my goal because I was like a late bloomer in high school. Like I did not get involved until my senior year, and then I had so much fun. I went to, California, I went to Atlantic City for all these business competitions, and that was great. So I made it my mission when I came here to get involved right away. I would say definitely get involved with Silberman. One thing that I wish I could have done different, I would say I formed a lot of valuable connections in college, and then once I graduated, they went away. I didn't put in the work to reinforce my network. That's something that I would recommend everybody does. Get involved with the markets update too if you're interested in finance. They have a markets update call. They have a student investment fund now. Like that is valuable experience, especially if you want to go into this industry. Yeah, and don't be afraid to meet people. I mean, get out of your comfort zone. That's the biggest thing I've learned, I would say, during COVID. If I'm uncomfortable doing something, I should probably do it. Like if I don't want to do something, I should probably do it. Like I'm not going to lie to you, I haven't made a presentation since probably college. And I was nervous, like literally Jack emailed me. I was like, oh, do I say no because I don't want to present in front of people? But I did because I knew that it would probably make me a better person. And like I said, I made it my life's mission to help people with personal finance. So I was like, I got to do it. I can't not do it. So yeah, don't be afraid to get out of your comfort zone.
Actually, I have a question.
Mhm.
What would you say are some action or mindsets that you have seen people starting at an account have helped them be successful?
I would say the big thing, and you'll see this with a lot of accountants, a lot of them are more introverted. So if you can take initiative and meet people and don't be afraid to network and be willing to work hard. I mean, this industry, it's not your typical, it's a rewarding industry, and you do create a lot of value. Like, you're just not going to come in and work like 9 to 3 and take like a 2-hour lunch. Like, that's just not how the industry is. So if you're prepared to work and do good and form valuable relationships with your coworkers and your clients, you'll be great. And Emily could probably speak more too, because she's still in public accounting. No, she'll be here next week. But yeah, I think if you go, and also be a sponge, like, think of yourself as like a baby and how dependent you are, like, on others around you to learn. At first, your first like 3 or 4 months, don't be afraid to ask questions and be that little baby, really dependent on like your seniors and managers. Like, they want you to ask questions and learn. And then also, they're not just going to tell you everything. Like, if you have a simple question that you could find on the internet, on Google, because that's probably what they're doing too, exhaust that resource first. I've learned that, because I would just immediately go to my senior or manager, and they would be like passive aggressive towards me. Like, you should just look, like, why are you asking me when there's like other resources out there? I think that is a huge takeaway. And now that I've learned that coming from public accounting at my job, before I ask anybody any question, I'll actually think about it. And second, I'll go to Google and ask Google first. Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
Can you talk about the day in the life of your job?
My current job?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we are a little bit unique. So we get in really early in the morning. We're supposed to be in at 7:30. I'm just crazy and get in like 20, 30 minutes before everybody. So I typically go in right away, kind of get set up, and immediately, like, all the associates that come in, we're doing research first thing in the morning. Me specifically, I'm doing research on company buybacks and layoffs in the economy. We have another person who's doing everything earnings. We have another person that's doing broad market stuff, so like the S&P, the Dow Jones, and as kind of seeing, like, looking at technical analysis for those indices. And then also we have a list of companies that we're looking to put clients into, more conservative clients, ones who are paying like dividends. And he'll do the same exact thing for that. And then for different sectors too. So like the industrials, materials, technology, I think there's 12 or 13 sectors of the S&P 500, all of those. Then from there, typically start prepping for client meetings. So we have 3 partners, and they see a ton of clients every day. We have almost 800 households, managing 900 and change $1 million. So really helping them prepare for their meetings. And then often I try to sit in on those meetings. Some associates at my company, they don't necessarily try to sit in on a ton of meetings, I think, because they have a lot of work themselves. But for me, just starting out, I try to sit in on as many meetings as I can and try and like accelerate my learnings. And then if the client becomes too small, or because we're growing every day, like we're bringing in a lot of business. If the clients become small for the other partners, I want to take over those relationships and foster those. So that's why I try to sit on a ton of meetings. I'm also doing a lot of CFP prep. And then, like I said, in that fourth bullet point on that one slide about like things that I love personally and that are great things about the industry, always reading about what's going on in markets, politics, the economy, like all that stuff is crucial to our job here and our clients' money. So that's typically what I do in a day. And hours typically vary. I would say for us, I usually work starting, like I said, we got to be in around 7:30. Probably stay till like 5:36, but it's pretty flexible. As long as you get your work done, you can pretty much leave anytime after like 4:30. Yeah. Any other questions?
So you talked, because I know the CPA exam, they just revealed their evolution for 2024, but how was your experience taking the CPA exam, and what advice would you give to anyone who's thinking about maybe currently sitting for one section CPA exam currently?
Yeah, so I think the CPA exam it's definitely a challenge. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it was easy. It was definitely hard, but it is such a rewarding process. And those 3 letters accelerate your career. Like if you're working at any accounting firm, you technically can't go past senior without the CPA, which that hinders your growth within the firm. Also, as I'm sure you've heard, it also impacts your pay. So, oh, I'm sorry. So I forgot what the question was. I had to preface that. You said, what did you say?
And you took it during school.
Yeah, so I took it during school, so I was already in the study mode. Thank you. So I would recommend for students, if you're doing that 5th year, that year is going to be tough, but I would recommend studying half the day for your CPA exam and then half the day for your graduate work. That's what I did. I might have had it a little bit easier because I was remote. I didn't have to come up here and commute during my 5th year. But that's what I would do. Get a great course provider. And this isn't something that you could just, study for and take the exam like the next week. Like you have to give yourself some grace. Like you're not going to get stuff like that. It's going to take a lot of time to really understand the material, but you have to let it soak in. And then I would recommend doing something every single day towards the CPA exam. Like I studied every single day. Some days were very intense, and then some days were a little lighter. And then I'm also a big fan of index cards. It's gotten me through every single professional exam that I've taken. I've taken 9 so far. The index cards for me are like a lifesaver. I review them, or at least a portion of them, every single day. And then lastly, with those index cards, I do a cumulative review. You're basically doing a cumulative review all the time, rather than just at the end of your study when you went through all the material, you have your final review that Becker does. I've been doing a final review since the first week. I review the material constantly. That way you never lose the stuff that you worked on like in the first couple weeks. And going it back to your question, if I could do college all over again, I would do that. You basically, how I did college is like, okay, you're just sitting in class and doing whatever. And then all of a sudden, a test is coming. So then like the week before you start studying, or a couple of days before you start studying, I would be like, no, I'm going to review everything that we've done. That way, when the exam comes in the week before, I'm not cramming to study. That's the big thing with me. It's like all of my studying on the professional exams is front loaded. So I'm going through this now with the CFP. The past 2 months, I've been studying every single day, getting through the material. And now once December rolls around, I'll start my final review 2 months before the actual review. And then by the time the actual review comes, people are going to be studying for 14, 15 hours a day, and I'll be studying for a few because I already have everything. No, because I've been cumulative reviewing since the get-go. So long-winded answer, but that's a good thing you guys have this recorded. You can go back and listen, but that's what I would do.
That's great. Anybody else have any questions?
And Jack, you have my email. In that PDF, it has my contact information, as my cell phone number, the office phone number. And did I say email? I don't even know. But my work email is on there. Please feel free to shoot me any questions about anything that we spoke about tonight: FDU, studying, career in accounting, moving into wealth management. But even if it's like a dumb personal finance question, I'm always around.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
What skills do you believe are essential for success in accounting and also the wealth management field?
I would say being patient, because this information just doesn't click. It takes 10 years for this stuff to click. You have to be patient. I would say you need to have discipline of some sort, like especially if you're going to be working remote, or even for the people on this call. Like I bet most people, and I'm guilty of this too, when I have a down second at work or if I'm in between tasks, I'll check my phone. Like trying to be disciplined with staying in the moment and focusing on one task at a time. I would also say, obviously, like anything, you need to be willing to work hard. And I would say be open to different possibilities or different engagements or working with different people. Don't just immediately judge something by, its nature, even with people too. So, do you have anything to add, or anybody have anything to add? Yeah.
Probably, I can answer the question. So you have some experience in the public accounting.
Yeah.
firm, and maybe you hear from the managers, not the managers, sorry, the partners, how much they make.
Mhm.
And so like now that maybe you have an idea how much the partners at the finance or the management company do, maybe wrong. Do you have that comparison?
So the one awesome thing I would say about both, like being a partner at a CPA firm and a partner at a wealth management firm, it's very similar. So the pay structure, obviously, I'm sure they have, it's basically a partnership. So 1 sec. I haven't spoken this much in so long. So you basically get equity, which means you get a certain percentage of the profits. So all the revenue that at the end of the year for your firm in public accounting, you get a certain percentage of that. You also, it's not like a salary, what is it called? Like a draw. You get a draw. So yeah, there's that side of it. I don't know how much people make like dollar amount wise, but I do know that partners at Big Four, especially if you're like more of a 10-year partner, you're making probably close to 7 figures, not maybe more, which is a lot of money. But you also have to think about the flip side. Like they've spent 10 plus years working like 80 hours a week. So there's trade-offs. I would say in wealth management, there's definitely more of a work-life balance, and you still make a great living. Like in this profession, like I said, there's no upside to technically how much money you can make. Because the more business you bring in, the more money you make. And if you're a partner, if you bring in the business, not only do you make like a spread on the business, but you're also making a percentage of the profits too.
So if I'm correct, it sounds to me like there's a point where you have to kind of sell the actual selling of the company.
I would argue that even if you're a partner at Big Four, if you want to make money, you need to go out and bid and sell your services to other clients. It's the same thing. And I would say the profession that I'm in gets a bad rep because a lot of people try to sell insurance, annuities, all these things. Our firm, we're big believers in term insurance. So there's no money whatsoever wrapped up in term insurance. Variable insurance or like whole life insurance, there's a lot of money wrapped up in that. And then also annuities too. I mean, we are believers in annuities, but it should be a certain percentage of your portfolio, not your entire portfolio. And those are usually commission heavy products. So a lot of financial institutions will look to sell those rather than being a true fiduciary and doing similar things to like what my firm does. So yeah, we're essence, we're going out and selling our services, but there's no sort of commission or anything that we make on that end. But to your point, like almost everything that you do, once you hit kind of like that partner manager level, even in my position now, it's all about whether you like it or not, it is sales. You have to go out and sell yourself, sell your firm's products, sell your firm's services. It's like that everywhere. I would say it's less like that in public accounting until you hit like senior manager and above. Then it's more of like this, you're doing like the technical accounting, and then you're also doing like they're going out selling, meeting prospective clients and trying to see where you can add value. Yeah.
Yeah, you had talked about building a book of business.
Yes.
What advice have you been given, or what have you observed your partners do, which helps them build business?
So I would say what I've observed so far is that if you go above and beyond for clients and you exceed their expectations in service, so you basically promise them. I saw this example on Instagram with a local company that I'm familiar with. And this business owner, to make a point for all of his employees, he gave them a 25. He said, All right. Thank you guys for being such great employees. You know, we're crushing it this year. In this envelope, there's a $25 Amazon gift card. So he goes on this whole speech and then he tells them to open it, and it's $100 for every employee. And he was like, that's the kind of value we want to provide to our clients. So seeing how we provide great service and we go above and beyond for our clients, they become our biggest fans and therefore referral source. So we've grown organically, literally since 2016, like 850 million in assets. And a lot of that just came from client referrals. So I would say that's one. Two, being in tune with your network and staying in touch with your network and being genuine about these connections, not just trying to get to know them for business purposes, like actually genuinely getting to know them, and not just about work, but about their family, their hobbies, things that they enjoy and that they love. That's what I've been trying to do. And it's gonna, like I said, this is a 7-year apprenticeship. It's gonna take time, but I've spoken to so many people in the industry and people who built businesses from scratch who are actually alumni from FDU. And that's like one of the biggest things that they've said. Like, you genuinely want to build relationships with people and see where you could provide value in their life. Now, the tricky thing is, it's like, you know, you could provide a lot of value. Now, how do you come across and get this point across to people without being like intrusive or damaging your relationship because you're asking for business and whatnot? So I'm sure that's a fine line that I'll eventually walk. But right now I'm in like the business cultivation stage.
Question. Does anybody on Zoom have any questions?
I have a question.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, speaker.
I have to mute my speaker.
All right. So how do you build and maintain trust with your clients?
Hold on one sec, Joseph.
No, on this one, you have to.
Oh. No, okay. I can hear you now.
How do you build and maintain trust with your clients?
So I would say build and maintain trust with clients. So I haven't worked with a ton of, like, personally one-on-one. I've worked with probably a handful of clients. The firm has given me 5. And it really goes back to my point before. It's like, you want to gain their trust by, first of all, being a fiduciary, putting their best interest first. And what I've heard and what I've seen is like listening. Like, when you do client meetings, 75% of it should be the client talking. And then the last 25% should be you maybe offering advice or just following up. And I would say also going above and beyond with your services and being super meticulous with your preparation and communication with the client, and genuinely proving that you have their best interest at heart. You're just not in it to make money, I think is probably one of the biggest things that I've seen at my firm so far.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All righty, mute your speaker on that. That is all then. Thank you so much, John, for coming to speak to us today. Thank you. And for our members and candidates next week, we have Colin Resnick coming in, Caleb Dudley and Emily Sickinger coming to speak to us next week, who's actually here this week. So yeah, just a friendly reminder, please make sure to get your tutoring hours done. Induction night's coming up real soon. And make sure you attend the meetings. If you know someone who was not here today, the recording will be up later tonight. But yeah, so with that being said, that's it. Thank you all so much. We'll see you all next week for Colin Resnick.
Thank you guys for allowing me to come in. I appreciate it. Had a great time.